Welcome. I am showing you the following article because I want to offer you a different perspective than mine. I'm a trader and a Bitcoin maximalist, but I want to offer you a different perspective. So here you see somebody who is complaining. He's complaining because he's not satisfied with his result. Above all, I can guarantee you if he had made 5 millions, 50 millions or 500 millions in the markets, he would not be complaining. But he doesn't want to work and he wants to make money. I have clients come to me and they say, I have 5K and now I want to make 5 million or 50 million. How long will it take? That's the question I get. They think it's instant. They think they just have to press a button and then they get immensely rich. They don't understand all the work that goes behind it. So what you should do so you're not overwhelmed from the market is to get a financial advisor. Somebody who can look at you, who you are, what your goals are, give you some realistic goals, and then give you a strategy you can follow. There are different kinds of strategies, and you can choose one that suits you well. Okay? And for the rest of the time, you do whatever you like. Now, don't expect to get immensely rich in a very short period of time. Just understand you will make money. If you understand what you're doing and you do the correct thing, you will make money. And for that, you should be grateful. It is really, really hard to make money. 98% of participants in the market and even institutional investors lose money. So if you are lucky and you manage to do the right thing, either because you learned it very hard by working on your skills over decades and never stopping to analyze the markets and taking position and improve your strategy. Either you do all that work on your own and you're smart enough to make it, which very few people on earth make, or you get access to somebody who can do it. And he will help you. He will make a strategy for you. And if you're patient and you're capable of understanding the strategy and following it, you will make money. And that makes a huge difference. It is the difference when you retire of having nothing. Most of my people I know, they made a lot of money by working their job. A lot. You cannot imagine how much money they make. They brag about it, but they have nothing to show for. Nothing. Their bank account is empty. They barely manage to pay their bills. Now, if you're smart and you have some discipline, you will be able to have something and not stand there with nothing and just hope that your retirement gets paid or that you get some food stamps or whatever. And that after all, an entire life of hard work. So if you don't get that and you're not capable of doing something smart, then you won't make it. But if you think it's easy, you just have to press a button and you make a lot of money, that's not how it goes. You have to have some discipline, some mental fortitude. So I have written a Stoic book. It is in the description. You can buy it. It will help. And if you want to have access to me as a financial advisor and have some video conferences where we check who you are, we look on how we proceed. I'll give you a strategy you can follow after listening to you and so on. But you should be grateful for the money you make and not always complain because it's not enough. Your expectations are too high. You think you are the smartest guy on earth. Some people manage to make huge fortune, but they also lost it all again and again. So you have to be smart. The idea is that you don't end up broke, and you can learn that by knowing how a poker player manages risk, and you can learn it from a trader, somebody who's active in the market and has always opened a position. I can take my phone and I can take a look at it. And right now I have, let me check. So right now I have 4 opened positions. One on the S&P, one on US Japanese yen, one on gold, and one on BTC. So I have 4 open positions, okay? And 3 of them are right now in the green, very nicely in the green. But that means nothing because it doesn't matter what happens on the short term. All that matters is where you will be in 6 months. And that's even nothing. Where you will be in 2 years, and that's even nothing. Where you will be in 5 years, and that's even nothing. Where you will be in 10 years, and in 20 years, and in 30 years. That's what matters, that you can be in the game for the long run, because it is probabilities, and the variance is so high that it goes against you a lot. But you have to go through the hard periods. That's the only way you will make money. If you're smart and you take good decisions, in the long run, I'm saying the long run, and that could take years, it will turn in your favors. Okay, the short one means nothing. That I have very nice, profitable decision, and one break even means nothing. It's zero. It's zero information. That means nothing. All that matters is where you will be in the future and how that will improve your life. And if you don't get that and you think it's easy money and you just can sit on your butt and watch TV, it is not for you. Okay? Do something else. There are a lot of easy stuff you can do. Academia teaches all that easy stuff that you like. Okay? You do something very dumb, very uninteresting. You do nothing good for the world. You repeat propaganda all day long and you are paid very well. So do something else. If you don't want to expose yourself to risk because you cannot handle it, then don't do it. And if you want to learn it, take contact with somebody who knows what he's talking about. And that is very, very hard because there are no good financial advisors. I had to learn everything on my own because there's nobody who could teach me. Now, there are some good analysts, but all they do, if you know Elliott Ways, is put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and ABC on the charts. That's all they do. They cannot tell you where to enter. They can tell you when to exit. They cannot tell you how much you should risk. They know nothing more. The only thing they know is 1, 2, 3, 4, ABC. And they are wrong around 70% of the time. So they are only right 33% of the time. And yes, I did learn of them as much as I could. It's very expensive, but I did it. And it helps me every day in my work. But you must understand that on its own, it is not enough. By far not enough. You have to be much better than they are because they don't make any money. So now that being said, I let you watch the guy complaining about his crypto journey and why he's so unsatisfied and he had the impression that he did nothing. And now he's all happy because he's creating a couple of articles and talking about his life. I'm not saying that investing is for everybody, but it's the best thing we have. There's only one technology on earth that gives back power to the people, and that's Bitcoin. Nothing else does that. I want to give more power to the people and less power to the elected leaders because I don't think it's any good. I don't like endless wars. I don't like control. I don't like surveillance. I don't like all the freedom-killing laws. So I want to give back more power to the people. And there's only one technology on earth that does that. And that is Bitcoin. Nothing else does that. So if you want to do a favor to humanity and yourself, you should get some exposure to Bitcoin. But because the bull markets and bear markets are very hard, really deep and strong, it is really hard to manage it. So for that, you need to talk to somebody who knows what he's talking about. So if you want to get contact with me, contact me over QuickLearn. The email address is in the description. And explain what you want. And if possible, I will give you some time. Of course, my fees as a financial advisor aren't free, but we always can figure something out. So now, that being said, enjoy the small video, get out of it what you can, and think about your future. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place you come to, well, plunge into fascinating stories and really pull out the insights that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're kind of steering away from the usual market charts, the technical stuff.
Yeah.
We're going straight into the human side of these big financial shifts.
Really important stuff.
Our focus is this really powerful personal story. It's from an article called Why I Left Crypto, A Personal Reckoning.
Right.
And just to be clear, this isn't really a tech critique. It's more like a memoir, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
A reflection, a case study, really, in how chasing financial freedom can sometimes lead you down unexpected paths, create these psychological burdens you didn't see coming. So our mission today in this deep dive is to unpack that, to find those nuggets about the emotional costs, the personal side of things that often get missed when we talk about wealth.
Okay.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, I think, is how just one person's story can, like, shine a light on bigger truths for pretty much everyone. It's like this narrative gives us a lens on, ambition, getting disillusioned, and then maybe finding some clarity.
Yeah.
And what really jumps out is that it shows how a rich life, well, it's not just about the bank balance, is it?
Yo.
It's about where you put your attention, your focus, and what values are actually, driving you.
That attention point is huge. And the author kicks off the article with this incredibly vivid scene, almost unsettling. Staring at a crypto dashboard, right? Seeing all that red.
Yeah.
But feeling just numb, emotionally flat, which is such a stark contrast to, the excitement they must have felt starting out.
Absolutely. That contrast is powerful.
And that image, it just pulls you right into the first big theme.
Yeah.
The surprising psychological toll.
It really does. And the author's experience speaks volumes about what they call the psychological toll of crypto obsession.
Okay.
They describe it becoming this constant background hum, checking prices.
Oh, time.
Dozens of times a day, apparently, memorizing charts, obsessing over every little trend. Wow. And this constant watching, this compulsive thing, it just led to immense emotional drain.
I can imagine.
And the big realization for them, all that obsession, it didn't actually build anything meaningful. No real personal growth.
Just stress.
Just stress and what they called empty wins. These little victories that didn't come from real skill or bring any actual joy.
Empty wins. That's powerful.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Have you ever found yourself, caught in that kind of loop, constant checking, feeling emotionally worn out by things happening outside you, markets, maybe something else entirely?
Yeah, that feeling of being pulled around by external forces, it sets up the next point perfectly, I think, which is the illusion around crypto wealth. Because the author actually hit a point where, on paper, they were a crypto millionaire.
Right, on paper.
But they're really clear about this was all tied up in volatile stuff, not actual liquid cash you can spend. Big difference.
Yeah. Huge difference. And that distinction is so crucial. They even talk about this clickbait confession they made.
Oh, yeah.
A video titled something like, How My Life Changed After Becoming a Crypto Millionaire.
Okay.
Which was technically true, but also really misleading.
I see.
And the regret they express is about feeding that hype. Adding to the myth of getting rich quick without real substance behind it.
Perpetuating the cycle.
Exactly. And it all leads to this really potent quote in the article: how you make your money is more important than how much you make.
Yeah, that one lands.
It really does. It forces you to ask, okay, what's the real cost of just chasing money, no matter how you get it? Right. And how does the way you make it actually affect your life, your well-being overall?
That quote really hits home.
Yeah.
Because it connects directly to the author's growing sense of, disillusionment.
Yeah.
Not just with the market swings, but with the actual promises of crypto itself. They start to really pick apart the difference between the big ideas of freedom, decentralization, fixing banking, and what was actually happening on the ground.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, you see why the doubt started creeping in.
It's such a key distinction, and they give specific examples of why they felt disillusioned.
Like what?
Well, take Bitcoin. They ended up seeing it less as this revolutionary money and more like a, quote, religion propped up by belief.
Wow.
Slow, expensive to use because of how it's built, just not practical for everyday buying and selling.
Right. Not replacing Visa anytime soon.
Pretty much. Then you have altcoins. They mentioned Theta and XRP, which had these big promises, changing streaming or banking.
I remember the hype around those.
But the author points out the practical problems. Like, why would a huge bank or Netflix rely on some third-party coin when they can just build their own system?
That makes sense. Control, efficiency.
Exactly. Centralized systems often meet their specific needs better, and even in their own jobs, supply chain management. The whole blockchain transparency idea actually clashed with needing privacy, needing things to be efficient in the real world.
So the theory met reality.
Precisely.
Ah.
And if you zoom out, it just highlights this common thing with new tech, right? There's often this huge gap between the grand vision and how it actually gets used day to day.
Yeah, the practical application hurdle. Which, that observation, it leads perfectly into what the author realized crypto doesn't teach you.
Right.
That despite all the complexity, all the jargon, the time spent in crypto didn't actually help them build anything. Well, real, tangible skills, maybe.
Exactly. They really expand on that, saying it didn't give them transferable skills, nothing for long-term career growth. It was, and this is their phrase, speculation wrapped in technical jargon.
Ouch.
Yeah. It encouraged relying on what the market did, these external forces, instead of building their own agency, their own ability.
Right, passive versus active.
Totally. And they contrast that so clearly with what they find meaningful now, creating things. Content, building a business, actually learning skills they can use anywhere, things where the results are, much more under their own control.
That's a massive shift.
It's a huge shift from waiting for the market to move to actively making things happen yourself.
And this whole journey, this realization, it builds towards what the author calls the freedom of letting go.
Yes.
They describe leaving crypto like waking up from a really long, very stressful dream.
That's a great way to put it. And the payoff wasn't about money, it was something else.
What was that?
Clarity. That's the word they use. Real clarity, which meant things like, sleeping better, having more energy again.
Simple things, but huge.
Absolutely. And maybe the biggest thing, just having the mental space back, the bandwidth to actually think about what kind of life feels right, feels worth living.
Wow.
It was like being released, from the grip of those charts, the constant hunt for the next big coin. And it makes you ask yourself, doesn't it? What other systems might you be caught up in? Things that promise freedom but actually subtly kind of control you.
That's a really powerful question.
Yeah.
And it brings us to what feels like the deep philosophical undercurrent of this whole piece.
Definitely.
It sort of boils down to this core idea, doesn't it? That real freedom. It isn't always just about having more financial options.
Precisely. And the author has this line that just captures it perfectly. They say, "Crypto gave me a glimpse into how deeply money can control our thoughts, how easy it is to chase freedom in a way that actually traps you even more."
Wow. Read that again.
How easy it is to chase freedom in a way that actually traps you even more.
Yeah, that's profound.
It really is. And it's not just about crypto, is it? It's a much deeper thing about being human. Sometimes real freedom, true liberation, it doesn't come from getting more. It comes from stepping away.
Away from systems that control you without you realizing it.
Exactly. Even systems that promise they'll empower you. They can subtly control your thoughts, your time, your peace. It highlights those invisible chains, forged while we're chasing the very thing we think will set us free.
So this whole deep dive in the article it came from, it's not really anti-crypto.
No, not at all.
It feels profoundly pro-reflection.
Yes. Well said.
It feels like it's for anyone who's ever been in the middle of some intense chase, a bull run, a career climb, whatever, and just paused for a second and asked, hang on, what am I really chasing here?
Exactly. That moment of questioning.
So what's the big takeaway then, beyond the charts, beyond crypto specifically? What do we leave people with?
I think it's this. Maybe the smartest investment you can make isn't financial. Maybe it's an investment in your time, your attention, in deliberately building the life you actually want. That true freedom often comes not from having more, but from finding clarity, getting away from those systems that subtly pull your strings. The real ROI. Maybe it's peace of mind, not the size of your portfolio.
That's a great final thought.
So we'd encourage you, just reflect a little. What does real freedom mean for you? Beyond just the money definition. Something to think about.